you are going to see some edit statuses after you make edits. And at the point of recording this video, there's only three. There might be more in the future. I'm just going to go over these three in this video. And um, you can see them by going into your local guides account and clicking on contribute and then clicking on edit over here. And it'll bring up your edits that you've made and it'll show the status of them. I'm going to talk about pending first because that one's the easiest. We already talked about it in some of the other videos. Again, you don't get stressed out about a pending status. If it's pending, that doesn't necessarily mean you're in trouble with Google or anything like that. It just means that the algorithm has not, for some reason, will not approve your edit or the change that you made without another local guide or a Google employee. It could be either one, without one of those two people looking at it and checking it. And so it can be caused by a lot of different things. It could be caused, like we talked about in other videos, if you do too many of the same type of edits in a row. It could be caused by other things too. For instance, if there's conflicting edits going on with that specific listing that you might not see another local guide making a change, or something like that, or another local guide making a change or already made a change maybe to that particular feature, like the phone number or something. It can be all different things. But so in general, don't stress out about pendings. The one thing to remember about pending is you just don't want to have too many pendings pile up in your account. You want to try to, so what we'll do is if we get a pending status, we will try to do some super, super easy edits that are very, very likely to be approved. Some things that are really simple, like for instance, adding hours to a location, to a business is usually approved. You can also add photos. Those are usually not checked or anything. There's no like status for them. Really low hanging fruit type changes. So in other words, a high level change would be like a phone number or a business name change, things like that, changing the address of a business, stuff like that. That's not one. That's the easy one. You want to do an easy one. Like even adding a website sometimes can be an easy change, um, depending on the listing and the category of the listing. And that brings up another point. If you're making edits in high risky categories that are risky to Google, so it could be like most service area businesses tend to be a little more risky to Google. And so if you go and make a change to something that's extremely low risk, like a parking lot or a city park or a government building or something like that, those are also changes that are very likely to be approved. But we rely a lot on adding hours and websites to locations because those are likely to be approved. So what we'll do is if we get a pending, we'll try to counteract that by getting a bunch of approvals, 3, 4, 5 approvals, and then maybe go back and try to do another major edit, like adding a location and see if it gets approved. So don't worry too much about pendings. The main thing is you just don't want to worry about too many of them being piled up. Now, right below that, you see in the screenshot here, you see not applied. And this is something also that you don't need. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're on Google's radar. You don't have to freak out if you get not applied status. Not applied could just mean, again, there's a couple reasons for it. One, if there are a bunch of edits pending on that listing that you can't see, so Google doesn't show you that, that could cause a not applied status. If it's in a category that Google just plain does not allow changes, there are some categories like that. Like one extreme example is a locksmith. If you do anything in a locksmith category, you're probably going to get not applied, and it's just not going to let you touch anything in that. There are other categories, business categories like that, where any kind of change you try to make, or if you try to add a listing or anything, it's going to just go not applied immediately. So that doesn't mean that you're in trouble. necessarily. It could mean that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. And with not applied, we have the same rule. We don't want to get a bunch of not applieds in a row. If we get a not applied, again, we'll go back and do some very, very easy and simple edits. We'll do some check the facts, maybe even answer some questions. You can answer questions on there. If we have a legitimate review that we can make, maybe add a review, add a photo, just spread them out so that the algorithm sees we're not just sitting here just nailing the edits and getting not applied over and over and over. You don't want those to pile up. Now, one concern that you might have is if you get not applied for literally everything that you do. Okay, if you add hours, you get not applied. If you add a website, you get not applied. If you do it on a really, really easy type category, like a park or something like that, or you get not applied. That could be a concern because that can mean that your account has been flagged in some way and Google's just not letting you do anything with that account. In that case, you can go into the forum, it's localguidesconnect.com, and you can bring it up and say, hey, I'm getting not applied over and over and over. Is there any high-level Google employee on here that could look at this and help me out? Again, you're risking, if you do that, if you ask for help in that way, obviously you're giving Google permission to really kind of analyze your local guides account in detail. So depending on what you've done in there, what kind of listings you've added for yourself or your clients in the past, you might or might not want to do that. But that's the way. If you're getting not applied for every single thing, sometimes that can mean that you're flagged. 1 or 2 not applieds, not a big deal. But if you get not applied no matter what you do, that can be a big deal. So you can back burner that account and come back to it like in a month, try again, add some hours, see is it not applied again. Yeah, so the big test with not applied is, let's say you get a couple not applieds, go and try to add hours. Just try to add or edit the hours of a business and see if that also goes not applied. Then maybe try another really, really simple edit, see if it's also not applied. If you get 3 or 4 not applieds in a row, no matter what you try to do, then it's time to take some action to try to fix that. And that'll help you to answer the question of, is my account flagged, or is this just an issue of this specific listing, or maybe it's an issue of just this specific category. And obviously the third status is approved, and approved just means approved. And so that means that your edit was successful, it didn't have to be looked at by anybody, and it was instantly approved. Now you'll see over time that your pending status will be approved. So just because something's pending doesn't mean it won't be approved. It does tend to take a long time. And so one of the things that we do if we've got some pendings in there is we'll go in with another account and go into check the facts, and we'll say, yes, this is correct. So when you go into check the facts, it asks you, is this correct or not? Yes or no, and we'll check yes. Now the way to find it, at this point, there's not a very good search. Now maybe in the future there will be, but basically to find it, you have to navigate around the map to try to find where that edit is that you made. So you basically just have to scroll, and then you click search this area, and then let's say your edit's right here at, like, say, Kedzie and Cermak in Chicago. Then you got to zoom in on that point. Zoom in right to the spot. Get as zoomed in as you can. So this includes, you need to know the address of the change that you made. And you're going to zoom in, and then you're going to click search this area again. It'll refresh. It'll bring up all the edits that need someone to check them, and yours should be in the list. That's the only way to find it. And then we will click yes and let the now here's the thing, that doesn't necessarily mean Google's going to automatically approve it, but we have found that when we do that, it bumps our edit to the top of the queue. So let's say we click yes, but it doesn't make it be approved. That can mean like the local guides account we're using to verify the change to click yes is just not authoritative enough. It's not a high enough level. It could also mean just the category. Google's not going to automatically approve that, or it could be some other thing we can't even see that's causing that to be backlogged. So it's still going to have to be looked at by a Google employee who is most likely in India. A lot of times they don't even know. They're not even that knowledgeable about the area, but they are sort of checking to make sure stuff isn't spammy. But what it can do for you is it seems like it bumps you up to the top of the list to be looked at. So if you're trying to get something out of pending status, that is something you can do. You can go in through another local guides account or have someone else that has a local guides account go in and do it and click yes, and then that'll bump you up to the top. It seems like it bumps you up more towards the top of the queue so that you get looked at faster and get checked faster. Now you don't want to do this you don't want to cause a footprint for yourself. So don't go and always go between the same two accounts, approving one account's changes with the other account always. Don't do that. You want to have several accounts. You want to spread it out. If some pendings you want to just not touch and let them just go through the process so that your account can look natural. If every single edit that you make is approved by another account, you better believe that the algorithm is going to be able to pick up on that. So you don't want to do that. But if you're in a situation where you're really trying to push this change through, it's been pending for a while, like for a week or something, you really want to get it to the top of the list so that it gets looked at quicker. You can go through another account and click yes. If you have a whole bunch of accounts, then you can just spread it out between your accounts and get your changes looked at faster. But again, the goal here is to avoid pending status at all. We don't want pending, we want auto approvals. And so that's why we have the other videos that teach you how to get auto approvals. But even with all of our best efforts, sometimes stuff still goes into pending status. And that doesn't necessarily mean you did something wrong, because there are all types of things that go on behind the closed doors of Google's algorithm that we don't know about. And stuff goes into pending status and actually goes into not applied status for reasons that have nothing to do with us or our account or our listing. Stuff that is, or it could be the listing itself. Maybe some other local guide made a change at the same time or within the same couple days, and so Google decides, oh, we're just going to put both of these in pending so we can look at it and decide which one. Maybe you made a change that conflicted with the change somebody else had already made, and the algorithm says, oh, we need to check this out. There's all types of reasons why it could go pending or not applied that don't have to do with you. So it doesn't necessarily have to do with your listing or something you did. But we want to do our best, even though we can't necessarily control it all the time. We want to do our best, which is why we have the other videos that teach you how to avoid as much as possible the pending status and the not applied status.